that wasn't me.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me on today's show. We have the lovely Kathy Lette. Kathy, thanks for joining. I'm so pleased, so excited that you're on my show today.
Oh, it's lovely to chat to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So I've got some random topics, so I hope you don't mind me. Random questions, random topics.
That's
And I'm sure we'll be okay with this. I just hope my cat just doesn't jump on the screen.
fine.
He's right by me at the moment. I just hope he doesn't knock the mic off. So first topic is, I don't know if you can see that topic on your screen there, autism. Yeah. So I'm just going to move that now because it's blocking your face and my cat's just decided to knock my mic over. So we're going to talk a bit about autism, Kathy. So if you can just explain to me, obviously your son got diagnosed with autism. So can you tell me what the process was like for you as a parent and how autism came about in your life?
Well, I think anyone listening who I'm loving the sound effects.
Sorry.
It sounds like your tummy's rumbling. Anyone who knows about autism will understand that it's a very slow process to get the diagnosis. And when my son Jules was born, in fact, he seemed so bright because he walked early, talked early. I kept thinking, I had this little genius on my hands. And then at about 13 months, he just lost his language. It was like a computer shutting down. And I suddenly felt I hadn't given birth to Jules, but I'd found him under a spaceship and I was kind of raising him as my own. And we were 3 when we got the diagnosis. And at that time, because he's nearly 30 now, at that time, that was a diagnosis that just dragged you down into the dark. So suddenly my son had become like a plant in a gloomy room. And it was my job to kind of drag him into the light in some way.
So right at the very sorry, Kathy, right at the very beginning,
Yeah.
did he have communication? Could he talk at the beginning?
Yes, he could. He had a lot of words. He was only little. I mean, so truck and dog, and he had all these words. But then it was like his computer overloaded, and then he became, retreated into himself, and he was rocking, and all the usual signs of autism. But of course, getting help is a postcode lottery, as you know, and the government set up these bureaucratic speed bumps to slow down the parents' progress to getting help. So, people kept saying, he's dyspraxic and all this other stuff because they don't want to use the big A word, because when you get the A word, it's more expensive to help you. And as if parents aren't struggling enough without then having to battle for any funding at all. It's very tiring. It's really hard. I think all parents who have an autistic child go through the same stages. The first stage I think that you go through is denial, where you bankrupt yourself seeing every medical expert in the country. I always say, I hate to think how many doctors' children I've now put through university. And I think the second stage you go through is guilt, where you feel as a mother, you feel so guilty. You think, was it something I ate or something I drank, or was it that one glass of wine in the final trimester or something? And then you do go through a stage of feeling a bit sorry for yourself, where you think, why me? Why have I been burdened in this way? And you probably drink way too much alcohol at that point. And then eventually you just start to think, well, this is the unique little person I've been given. And I always say what Jules has taught me is that there's no such thing as normal and abnormal. There's ordinary and extraordinary. And people like you, Kevin, people on the autistic spectrum, are truly fascinating. You have a literal, lateral, tangential logic that is so
Wow,
unique.
I love all them words you just said.
Well, it's true. You think
Yeah.
outside the box all the time. And with the right help, autistic people could give back to society in the most wonderful ways. Except, far too often you end up living in a bedsit on benefits because people don't understand that you often don't have a social filter. So, it infuriates me that less than 15% of people with autism are in the workforce, which is a much lower inclusion rate than other, disabilities. So, and what I'm really proud of is that my son Jules he's an autistic actor, and thank God for the BBC. The BBC were one of the first people to cast an autistic actor to play an autistic character. So he's been playing Jason in Holby City for 4 years now. He's on tomorrow night, actually, at 8:00. It's a and that's done more to take the stigma out of autism than 100 dry documentaries, because of course the audience can empathize with his character and emote with him. So they get a window into the autistic world. So it's been really amazingly successful, and I'm so glad the BBC took that risk. And I wish more employers would think outside the neurotypical box.
So when he was growing up from school, I assumed he went to a junior school, then a mainstream school.
Yeah, and the schooling's a nightmare. I think, I don't know where you went, Kevin, but putting a kid with autism into a mainstream school, to me, is pointless as giving a fish a bath, because most kids at school are striving to learn math and grammar, and the kid with autism is just striving to make themselves invisible, because all day they're told they're wrong, they're stupid, they're out of sync. I mean, their self-esteem sinks down lower than Britney Spears' bikini line, which is quite low. Because they don't thrive in those environments, So schooling was just terrible. I used to drag Jules to school screaming every day, and I'd come home in fetal position and cry. That went on for years. So it is really hard.
So was he bullied at school, or was he just seen as different?
Yeah. No, he was pretty badly bullied. I imagine you were too, were you, Kevin? When you were
yeah.
And I think the statistics are horrifying. It's something like 75% of autistic people report serious bullying at school, as opposed to about 11% in the neurotypical community. And the worst thing that ever happened to Jules, and there were quite a lot of bad things, but I remember one day he came home from school with a sign sticky taped on his back saying, "Kick me, I'm a retard." And he was looking, tears in his eyes, going, "Mum, the kids are calling me a retard. Am I a retard? What is a retard?" I mean, for any mother, you might as well have just ripped my heart out of my chest and stomped on it. So it does make parents really overprotective. When Jules never let him out the door without a list of instructions longer than War and Peace, and enough in his backpack to set up a comfortable wilderness homestead, But how will you ever know if they'll cope in the outside world if you don't let them out into it? So, you have to take that risk.
So when he left school, obviously he got this fantastic job with the BBC as an actor. Did he do any acting skills or drama classes before he went into the job?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say to any parent who's watching who has a child with autism, the two things to do is build up their self-esteem, because, as I said, their self-esteem gets limbo low because they're always told they're wrong in some way. But the other thing I would say is feed their obsessions, because you never know where it will take you. And it doesn't matter what it is, if it's Amazonian moth wing fluctuations, or, I don't know, Tibetan nose fluting, or igneous rock formations, whatever. Because, as you know, Kevin, autistic people are often very obsessive. They have OCD about certain things.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, that's that brilliant part of their brain. I mean, I think if we had diagnostic hindsight on many brilliant mathematicians like Einstein and scientists and whatever, we would discover that they were all on the spectrum somewhere, because they've got that unbelievable focus. So whatever it is, it doesn't matter how random it seems, feed the obsession, because you never know where it will take them. So, when Jules wanted to be an actor, I kept thinking, how can you put the artistic into autistic? I couldn't see that happening. But then Jules said to me, "Well, Mum, I'm acting every day. I'm acting trying to be normal." And I thought, what a great line. So I enrolled him in acting classes, and I used to go and watch him, Kevin. I think, "You're really good." And then I know it's the mum goggles. You know how we see everything through the love filter. Parents do. But then he won 2 awards, and then he made a little film, and then he got offered this part. He auditioned for this part in Holby City, which he got. And the actors who act with him tell me that what they love about acting with him is that it's not about his ego. He's interested in the scene and creating the scene, whereas most actors are thinking, how am I in this? Is the lighting right? Is my line good? Autistic people aren't like that. Not his ego. It's being in the moment. So, it's been very successful. He's BAFTA nominated. So, I'm
wow,
really, really
great.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But he has a creative enabler on it. He has someone with him on set to help him if directors are not understanding his needs and if it's too much chaos or whatever, I have someone to say, oh, he just could have some time out, or the BBC have been, or Holby City. Simon Harper's the producer there, and he's so sensitive and kind and inclusive. So it's a really brilliant experience. And also the cast on Holby, it's they call it the Holby family. It's a very, very happy environment, and they embraced Julius's differences and idiosyncrasies and made him feel really welcome. So it's been brilliant, actually.
Wow, that's so good. And I bet you as a mother, bet you're so pleased and so proud of him as well.
I am. And I'm also proud of him because he's a spokesman for autism. You so often you only hear the negative stories. And it's great to also hear the success story and actually have, and have some inspirational stories out there.
Okay, I think the screen just slightly froze there, but you've come back. Then I think I'm not sure if you're on Wi-Fi or whatever connection, but you're back, so that's the main thing. So next topic. Oh, we've got you, Kathy. Just tell people who you are and what you do.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know if you can hear me because it's gone a bit strange.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I am
yeah.
an author. Will I keep going?
Yeah, you're back. You're back in the room. I think it might be your Wi-Fi.
Okay, it's a bit strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's your connection, Kathy, or Wi-Fi, or you're on Wi-Fi, or you're on an Ethernet connection, or you're plugged in.
I am. I'm plugged in. Yeah,
all right, okay. Oh, you're back now. You're back. You're back in the room.
You can always ring me. Do you want me to ring back?
Yeah, try ringing back, Kathy. Yeah, call back and see if we can get the connection again. So yeah, oh, that was great. That was Kathy talking there about her son there. We'll try and bring her back in the room in a second. Got lots of comments coming in as well. We'll bring Kathy back in. Let's see if she's back. She's not back. I'm sure she'll be back in a second. Okay, so we'll just wait for Kathy to come back because there's lots of other questions I want to bring up. Bruce says, my son has ASD. He achieved a first-class honours degree in music technology. He's now married with a wonderful wife. Brilliant. Joe said it's great to... Oops. Are we back, Kathy? Are we back, Kathy?
Let's see if that works.
I was just reading some of the questions out on social media, which we've had coming in. Ruth said, my son has ASD. He's achieved a first-class honours degree in music technology. He is now married with a wonderful wife. And we've got Joe.
Isn't that great?
Brilliant. And we've got Joe. She says, it's great to know children with autism grow up to be amazing adults with autism. Do an amazing job. It gives me so much hope for my 15-year-old daughter. Nicholas says, I totally get you. My son is an actor with autism, and he always said he's more comfortable playing other people than himself.
Yes, Jules says that too. Often says it's such a joy not to be him for a little while, because of course everyone with autism, we know they have often chronic anxiety and OCD. So it is tough being autistic often because of this anxiety level. So to play someone who's opposite from you, Jules is a character who's very, very calm and very centered, very serious. Whereas my Jules is very funny and kind of energetic and out there. So it's liberating for him to play someone so different.
So as I was coming back to that's great, Kathy.
Is this working now, or is it?
Sorry. Oh, thank you, Kathy's. Yeah,
I can hardly hear you, Kev. Should we try it on Skype?
This system isn't on Skype because it's on a professional. This system doesn't work through Skype because it's on a professional broadcasting stream. But I don't know what the connection is. I don't know whether it's maybe the broadband connection your end or the Wi-Fi connection. but we'll see if we can carry on. So what I was going to say next, Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do? I know you've wrote 15 books.
Okay. Well, let me know if you can hear me. I am a writer. I've written, gosh, how many books? About 20 novels, 20 books, about 14 novels. I'm published in about 17 languages in the world.
Wow.
And I've done 2 books that had an autistic storyline. One called The Boy Who Fell to Earth, and the other one is called Best Laid Plans, about what it's like when you have an autistic child who becomes hormonal and sexual, because no one ever talks about that. It's kind of a forbidden subject. So both those books are very dear to my heart, and they're probably my favorites I've written, because I did use a lot of my own life experiences, and it was great having Jules on hand to write those books, because normally if you write a book, you have to go up the Amazon, or you have to climb the Himalayas to get your material. Whenever I wanted any dialogue, I just go next door to Julius's room and say, "Now what day now?" Situation, give me some great dialogue, and I write it down. So it was really, and also I really wrote those books from the heart, and I wrote them for other parents like me. I wrote the books that I wished I'd had when I was going through, finding out Jules's diagnosis, getting him into a school, navigating his way through life. That was The Boy Who Fell to Earth. Hands. Jules is nearly now 30, but I wrote it about those teenage years, because, the endless rejection. I mean, for boys with autism, I don't know, some girls, but for boys with autism, they might as well be a sherbet-winged flamingo flying down the high street. They're just too exotic for neurotypical girls. So they get rejected and rejected and rejected for being a dork or a nerd, or, too quirky. And their self-esteem once more, just gets so, so low. And when Jules was about 17 or 18, I think he was, he said to me, I came home one day and he'd been rejected yet again by another girl, another young woman, and he said, "If you'd known I was autistic, would you have aborted me?" And that just cut me so deeply to the quick, And I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I'll have to try and help this boy. And I seriously considered taking him to a brothel, just to have, so he could take the mystique out of the whole sexual experience. And I thought, I'm a feminist. How can I do that? And I thought, I can't sit outside the room knitting like Madame Defarge, really like paging Dr. Freud to reception. I didn't know what to do. I asked my male friends if they consider taking Jules to a brothel, and they were like, "Yeah, I'll just run that past my wife, shall I?" And then I asked some of my girlfriends, and they were like, "Oh, how can you consider that? You're a feminist." So it was a kind of conundrum for me. And then one night I was driving down past the red district, and I found myself turning off into the red light district. And there were women coming out of the shadows, and there were men coming out as well. And these guys looked scary, like, I'm a writer. The only wound I've ever received is like a paper cut. And I came racing home, but I was so glad I did, because a couple of days later, I read about a father of an autistic boy who was arrested for curb crawling, picking up a sex worker for his autistic son. And I thought, that could have been me, because no one ever talks about, when they talk about people with special needs, they either talk about them as being emotional or to be pitied in some way. Ever talks about their right to be loved and to have tenderness and to have connection. So it gave me the whole idea to write Best Laid Plans. It starts with a middle-class, middle-aged mum being arrested, curb-crawling, picking up a sex worker for her son, and then I can spin the comedy around that. So that's my favourite book, yeah. Still a subject that needs a lot more airing.
So you do comedy shows,
don't you?
Have I shocked
you, Kevin?
No, you're not shocked me at all. Nothing shocks me. Nothing shocks me at all whatsoever. It's just that I'm just the connection keeps on breaking for some reason. But nothing shocks me today. Nothing phases me whatsoever. But I'm just glad you're so down to it. Sorry, it broke there, Kathy.
Do you want to try and do it another day, with a better connection?
We'll try and run through these today, but if not, we can always try another day. But what I was going to say, what I really like about you, Kathy, you're so down to earth. You say it as it is, and you just say it as it is, basically. Which that's what I really like about you as a person. And you do stand-up comedy shows as well, don't you, Kathy?
Oh, thank you, Diane. Thank you. I couldn't quite hear the question, Kevin. Sorry, darling. Say again.
I think you do stand-up comedy shows as well, don't you, throughout the world?
It's not working, love. Let's it's all just staggered strange.
Right. Okay. We'll see if we can get Kathy back in a second. Are you there?
On the big computer. Can I connect with you on?
Yeah, go on the big computer. If you can hear me, Kathy, go on the big computer.
Hear the questions, though.
Yeah, try and connect to a different computer, then we'll carry on with this conversation if you can. If you can get like a broadband connection, because I normally use Wi-Fi, but I always find that connecting through the Ethernet, connecting to the router directly, it gives a better connection than Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi tends to be quite rubbish at the moment.
Let me try this one.
Okay, so Kathy will be back with us in just a second. And I'm going to share some comments with you. So we've got here, Joe says, my daughter is in mainstream school and she has a good social life, but I also know some children in a specialised provisions that have a bad time. I think that schools need to realise when they have met one autistic child and they've met one, and I think is the problem different? It's right. I'm getting distracted by my cat. He's showing me in the room at the moment. He keeps on jumping. So sorry about that. She was saying teachers forget every autistic child is different. Thanks for that comment, Joe, Jenny, Nicola, Ruth, for bringing in your comments. Hopefully, we should have Kathy back with us in just a few minutes. Hopefully she'll come back, because I was just trying to get her on, and because it's a really good conversation now. That's what I really like about Kathy Lette. She is so down to earth. She says it as it is, and sometimes she can, people are shocked by her, but I think she's a great lady, and we've been friends for quite a long time on Twitter now. So I hope she joins me back. I hope she comes back in a few minutes. We'll stay on and let's see if I can bring her back. Kathy, are you there?
Oh, I'm so sorry the technology's let us down.
Oh, don't worry. So you're on a different computer now?
I'm trying something else, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. You're not freezing. You don't sound like a Dalek. That's brilliant. What I was just saying, another comment came through. I'll bring it up on screen. I don't know if you can see that comment there.
Put my glasses on.
Joe was saying my daughter's in mainstream school and has a good social life. But I also know some children in specialised provisions that have a bad time. I think schools need to realise when they have met one autistic child, they have met one. And I think it's the problem that teachers forget every autistic child is different.
Yeah. Of course, that's absolutely right. Well said. But I'm so glad your daughter's having a good time at school. And I think girls with autism, they're sometimes they're not as isolated as boys, because girls are a little bit more socially able, just genetically, hormonally, that they can sometimes adapt a little bit better than boys. I'm generalizing, but in my limited experience, that's what I would say.
Can we just come back a bit to the book, what you wrote about the brothel and that, because you sort of broke up and we didn't really get it all over, but you did say to me, was I shocked by it? And I said that nothing really shocks me or phases me. Yeah. And I think, as you mentioned before, sex education doesn't really get brought up in the autistic world and the autistic community. And I think there was a lady, I can't remember the name, you may be able to help me on this. There was a woman, I'm going back about 15 or 18 years ago, and I think she was the first woman who wrote a book about autism and sex education. Can you remember the author?
No,
I'll have to see if I can get the name of the author, but I think she was the first woman who wrote a book, saying like what you've just said, Kathy, that people with autism, basically get excluded, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as I said earlier, usually, whenever you see autism in a mainstream television show, or you see them reflected in the media in any way, they're either inspirational, or they're kind of to be, like Turin, or they're to be pitied in some way. No one ever just allows them to be humans with, with desires and needs and normal wants, and that is something that has to be addressed, of course. I mean, there is one dating website I know about called Flame, and I enrolled my son in that. I mean, it's not cheap though, but it's where they match make people with special needs. They meet you, and then they see what you like, and then they try and find someone that you've got the same interests. And that was very successful for Jules. He's got a lovely girlfriend now. He met through Flames, but
Oh wow!
as I said, yeah. But as I said, it's like, I think it's £500 to join for the year. So it's it's a lot of money, but it really paid off for us. That's all I can say.
So I get a lot of people who come to me, males and females, and say, Kevin, is there any dating sites? Is there any, not like pen pal sites where they can form a relationship? And I've never ever heard of any like dating sites for people on the spectrum. So thanks for bringing that up. And that's called Flame.
Yeah. Flames. Yeah.
Flames. Okay.
And it's been very successful for Jules. He's been in an 18-month long relationship now with Tabitha, and that's great. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's really good. So I don't want to do advertising for anybody, but
So as I was saying before, Kathy, you do stand-up comedy and you do comedy shows throughout the world.
I do. Well, through Britain and Australia and New Zealand, my comfort zones. I do a show called Girls Night Out, which is, it's called Girls Night Out. It's basically my whole raison d'etre is that women are each other's human wonder bras, uplifting, supportive, and making each other look bigger and better. So it's a celebration of the sisterhood. It's a fun show about female friendship, and it goes from, all the things. I mean, think of all the women go through, from period cramps to, childbirth, where you stretch your birth canal the customary 5 kilometers, to mastitis, to menopause, and then that's when everything goes quiet. You know what happens? You grow a beard. How can that be fair? So women have to go through a lot, which is how we know God is a man. So I talk about all that kind of stuff on stage, and have a real laugh with women. And then I do also talk a bit about autism. I think every women use humor to cope with our darker days, and women do have a lot of darker days, because generally where the kids, aged relatives, sick siblings, fragile friends, and we take care of our children's needs, many of which are special. So if you can't have a good laugh with your human wonder bras, you wouldn't really get through it. Am I freezing up again?
A little bit, but I can still hear you and I can still see you, so that's fine. We'll just carry on. Yeah, you keep going, going off and on, but that's okay. So next,
we'll have to try.
We'll have to try again another time, but we can just carry on for the next 5 or 10 minutes. So the next topic is politics.
I can't hear him. It's not working. Let's try another day
Okay.
On the big computer.
Okay then. Take care, Kathy. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, and I really want to.
Thank you for joining me, Kathy. Take care.
Pleasure. I'm sorry.
God bless. Take care. Bye. Bye. So yeah, sorry about that. Kathy's connection was breaking up, as you could see there. She needs to get a better, not a Wi-Fi connection, but she needs to get a better broadband connection. So yeah, I'm not really wanting to carry on with the questions. There's lots of questions. I hope you found it useful, even though Kathy was breaking up quite a few times there. She does say it as it is. to the point. So yeah. Other questions I was going to ask her, we'll have to carry on with another show once she gets a better connection. But everybody, thanks for joining me today. She's made me laugh. She is quite funny. Don't forget, on Friday, got a great show coming up with you. I've got Cary Grant talking to me on Friday at 4 p.m. So please do join me for that show on Friday. We've got some other comments coming through. Mike says, Kev, will this live video be saved to be able to catch up with the beginning of your conversation? Yes, Mike. It should be on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. So that'll be there. Gabrielle says, hi, Kevin and Kathy. Wow, it's so amazing and inspiring to hear your story, Kathy. My daughter Amber is autistic and 22. Amber went to specialist school and it gave her such a positive school life. I am feeling during the lockdown inspired to write. So it's fabulous to hear. I feel so blessed to have met so amazing people to bring more autism awareness. Thanks for that, Gabrielle. Everybody, thank you for your comments. I'm sorry about Kathy's connection there. I'm sure she'll come back on because I've really got to get through these rest of these questions with her. And Jenny says, got a message here from Jenny. What do you do if their obsession is gaming? Good question there, Jenny. I will ask, bring that question up with Kathy when she comes on my show again, when she gets a better connection. We'll have to rearrange, reschedule another show with Kathy because obviously her connection was not very good. And it's really hard to get, that conversation going when somebody's got a bad connection, but hopefully that'll change soon. Everybody, thanks for joining me on today's show. It's been a pleasure to have you all on. Don't forget to join me Friday at 4 p.m. where I'll be talking to presenter, broadcaster, Dr. Cary Grant. Can't wait for that show Friday. Also, I'll be speaking soon to Dr. Khan, behind closed doors, the GP from the TV show. He'll be talking about lots of different things around autism and the coronavirus. Have a great day, guys. Take care and see you all soon. Bye.